is Radio Romania International. You are listening to our one-hour broadcast in English for listeners in Western Europe and Japan. We can also be heard on the internet at www.oi.ru, Channel 1. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter and other social media platforms. Our programs are also available on TuneIn, Radio Romania International 1, and in Europe via satellite Eutelsat 16A on 11,512 MHz, vertical polarization, azimuth 16 degrees east. We wish you good reception conditions.
Hello, I'm Kamerasmian with the news. First, the top stories. A Romanian delegation led by the Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu is paying a visit to Rome. The authorities are investigating a massive cyber attack in recent days that affected several hospitals in Romania, including Bucharest, and the European Commission suspended for 1 year the obligation for farmers to leave 4% of their land uncultivated. The Romanian Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu on Wednesday started a two-day working visit to Rome, the focal point of which is the third joint meeting of the governments of Romania and Italy. The previous intergovernmental summit was 13 years ago. On this occasion, there will also be an economic forum with the participation of the business environment from the countries. The Prime Minister also has scheduled meetings with the Mayor of Rome, Roberto Gualtieri, with representatives of the Romanian community in Italy, as well as a papal audience with Pope Francis at the Vatican. Romania's ambassador to Italy, Gabriela Dancau, said that a joint declaration will be signed by the Prime Ministers on the development of the consolidated strategic partnership. And at the level of the ministers, several sectoral cooperation documents will be signed. On Thursday, Marcel Ciolacu will have an official meeting with his Italian counterpart, Giorgia Meloni, after which they will make press statements. Italy is home to the largest community of Romanians abroad, over 1,100,000. Italy is Romania's second trading partner, with a share in our country's total trade of approximately 9.5%. Several hospitals in Romania, including in Bucharest, have been targeted by a cyber attack that encrypted data on their servers. The National Cybersecurity Directorate announced. Most of the healthcare units affected by the incident had safety copies of their data. According to the Health Ministry, exceptional security measures have been implemented, and many units in the healthcare system disconnected from the internet for further inquiries. The Directorate investigating organized crime and terrorism offenses has started the criminal investigation. The European Commission has officially endorsed a regulation which grants a 1 year exemption from the rule requiring farmers to keep 4% of their arable land fallow. The rules, designed to help improve environment conditions, have sparked protests across the EU, including in Romania. In exchange, farmers are now required to grow nitrogen-fixing crops such as lentils or peas. The new regulation is intended to give farmers more flexibility, while also protecting biodiversity and land quality. The measure is to be applied for the year 2024. Member states have 15 days to notify the Commission of the implementation option that they choose out of the two alternatives available. Romania's economy grew by 2% in 2023, according to the data published on Wednesday by the National Institute of Statistics in Bucharest. In exchange, the gross domestic product increased last year by only 0.5%, both in the EU and in the Eurozone. At the same time, the annual rate of inflation in Romania was 7.41% in January, compared to 6.61% in December 2023. Services prices rose the most by 1.55%, followed by foodstuffs by 1.3% and non-food products by 0.74%. More important price drops were recorded in milling products and edible oil. The National Agency for Medicines in Romania will establish this year a list of vital medicines for our country. The decision comes after, at the European level, around 200 medicines have been identified that often missed from the markets of several member states. The European list will be transformed into a series of national lists of critical medicines, said the president of the agency, Răzvan Isada. About the medicines included in the document, he explains that they are not necessarily in short supply at present, but that risks may arise once they become scarce. Among the causes that can lead to a shortage of medicines, Risada identified an entire range, from commercial reasons to the lack of raw materials. He added that at the European level, there is a seasonal problem with the lack of antibiotics, but this will be solved once the epidemiological season ends. And now to end on his bulletin, here is a reminder of the top stories. A Romanian delegation led by the Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu is paying a working visit to Rome. The authorities are investigating the massive cyber attack in recent days that affected several hospitals in Romania. And the European Commission suspended for 1 year the obligation for farmers to leave 4% of their land uncultivated.
The National Bank of Romania maintains the key interest rate at the same level. This is Daniel Bills to the microphone with a report by Ștefan Stoica. Romania's central bank has maintained a key interest rate at 7% this year, a measure taken at a time when the latest data released shows a lower economic growth in the last 3 months of 2023. The interest rates at which the commercial banks can borrow from the central bank have also been maintained, as well as those they have when they keep their deposits in the central bank. The key interest rate hasn't been changed since January last year, when it went from 6.75 to 7%. The central bank's present forecast shows a rise in the annual inflation rate at the beginning of the year under the impact of the rising and the introduction of indirect taxes and duties. After this, the inflation rate is expected to come back to a downward trend at a slower pace, though, as compared to both 2023 and the previous forecast. According to the central bank experts, the future fiscal and income policies, the effects of the war in Ukraine and the Middle East, as well as the developments in Europe, particularly in Germany, represent other uncertainties and even risks concerning the inflation rate. In another development, the current account of the balance of payment has registered a deficit of nearly 22.7 billion euros, 3.3 billion lower than that registered in 2022, says data released by the central bank. The reduction was mainly due to the fact that the balance of goods registered a deficit lower by nearly 3 billion euros, while the balance of services registered a surplus of 204 million. Here is financial analyst Adrian Codilașu.
Dacă ne uităm pe componentele de scuză curent, vedem că pe partea de bunuri
If we look at the component of the current account deficit, we see that on the goods side, imports went down a little bit. Actually, the prices of imported goods went down. For instance, the prices of the imported goods based on intensive energy consumption went down, as energy prices also went down. In terms of services, the biggest rise was seen in the transport sector. Against the background of the war in Ukraine, we are helping Ukraine to export its products, and we see that we are also getting profit from this activity. We have a surplus in the service sector, but the highest contribution to this surplus was that of the transport section. Direct foreign investment in Romania last year stood at 6.6 billion euros as compared to 10 billion in 2022. According to the central bank, in 2022, the total foreign debt rose by nearly 25 billion euros, up to roughly 169 billion.
The court is investigating the cyber attack that affected the activity of several hospitals in Bucharest and other parts of the country. I'm Elena Iannache with more on this topic in a report by Mihai Pelin. A number of hospitals in the capital Bucharest and other parts of Romania have recently been attacked by hackers. The first affected was the pediatric hospital in Pitești in the south. The target of the cyber attack is of Saturday. Across Romania, hundreds of patients who needed hospitalization had to wait because of the attack on the Hippocrates computer system, a software used for the management of the medical activity of internal resources and accounting. The Directorate for the Investigation of Organized Crime and Terrorism, the COT, is investigating the cyber attack of the last few days that disrupted the activity of medical units. In-rem investigations are conducted in this case for illegal access to the system, disruptions in the functioning of computer systems, and illegal operations with computer programs or devices. The investigations were triggered by the notification of two commercial companies that provide maintenance services. The National Directorate for Cybersecurity, which collaborates with the Romanian Intelligence Service to regain the functionality of this system, announced that there is no indication that the patient's personal data have been compromised. Problems were reported at 25 public and private medical units across Romania. The Minister of Health, Alexandru Rafila, said that some of the affected hospitals managed to fix the problems, and the relevant institutions will develop a new technical standard aimed at preventing such actions that destabilize the medical system. He explained that the data transmission activity was blocked and dozens of hospitals were disconnected, so that the consequences of the attack should spread and possible data leaks were less likely. In turn, the Health and National Security Policy expert, Ioana Stăncel, says that the systems of several public institutions in Romania are currently being tested by attackers. She explained that in the case of hospitals, it is worrying that personal data, especially medical data, are at risk. In her opinion, the responsibility for preventing such incidents rests with all the institutions involved, and the stake is huge, as confidential data is threatened. Ioana Stăncel.
Cred că este o testare a sistemului în acest moment din partea celor care au realizat acest atac.
I think those who carried out this cyber attack are testing the system. Other public institutions were also tested. What worries me is that once these blockages have occurred, personal data and especially medical data are at risk. And I'm concerned that there was no concern for the security of this data on the part of the two owners. The cyber attack somehow claimed, but the perpetrators sent a message demanding a ransom in cryptocurrency. The cyber attack healthcare facilities have been advised both by DNSC and other cybersecurity authorities involved in the investigation of this incident not to get in touch with the attackers. And that has been our newscast.
Focus on Romania.
Next in this program is Song of the Day. I invite you to listen to the band Prof Măsul with a song entitled In Your World.
Aduți aminte când eram doi copii și orice grijă aveam treceau a doua zi. Dar când seara la tine mă gândesc, nu știam atunci că mă iubesc.
are listening to Radio Romania International.